like to open it up to the floor. I'll take a couple of questions together, if you can state your name and who you're representing. Gentleman here with the blue shirt.
Hi, John Lucy, Freight Transport Association. Good to see that cost is finally coming into these conversations, in spite of some of the facts that's out there already. I mean, HMRC's own estimate that's 13 billion costs to the UK economy on customs declarations alone. This is irrespective of tariffs and delays, etc. So this is something that doesn't seem to be picked up at all so far. And to Hans, good description of the transit. Yes, we agree that transit, you know, the logistics industry agrees that transit is definitely the way forward for the Irish economy. In terms of infrastructure, according to Border Force and HMRC that we speak to on more or less a weekly basis now, in terms of preparation, there's absolutely no way that transit is going to be seamless or without paying for either the logistics industry or for the traders whose goods are actually on those trucks. Yes, you paint a very good picture, but I think that's a long, long way off, and I wouldn't like the audience to go away with the impression that that's going to happen on the 1st of November.
Okay. I'll take one other gentleman here together.
Hi, Sam Lowe from the Centre for European Reform. One comment, just followed by a question. On the BIP in Rotterdam, that's still in the port, though, isn't it?
Well, the port is very large.
Yeah, it's very large. So,
yeah.
But I think that's an important point to make in the context of the UK, where people seem to think it's outside of the port. On transit, so in order to take advantage of this, you have to be able to put up a guarantee. Am I right in thinking that? How are these SMEs going to demonstrate that they qualify for this? How are they going to? So A, how do they qualify? Are they trusted enough on this? How big is the guarantee going to be? Where do they get that money from? Why are the banks going to lend it to them? Because they don't necessarily know that they've got any history.
Well, if I'm honest, they're not going to have to do that because they buy that service from their logistics service provider. In general, these are the goods. When you export goods or transport goods, you hire a trucking company or a logistics service provider who takes care of it. He collects the goods, brings it to a hub, collects from other companies, takes it across the border to a distribution point, and there it goes all the way. And these declarations can be made at these 2 points. And he has a guarantee, which is not that high. You can have a reduction if you're AAO. And he has the responsibility and the liability that they get there. So there's a mechanism, a natural mechanism that works towards compliance. And so this guarantee will have to be brought up by the logistics service provider. It's a continuous guarantee. You can have a large reduction when you're AAO. That's also, in that way, you can also profit as a small and medium-sized enterprise by not having to be certified yourself, but you buy this service more or less from your service provider, who has a good relationship with HMRC, who has proven compliance. So the risk assessment of these declarations decreases because you can trust, the customs can trust this customs broker or logistics service provider and his customs department. That's the way that works. And I think that's the way transit will be accessible as well. Transit will be extremely important for east-west trade, for Ireland to the continent, because you'll have to pass through Britain, and you'll have to show to the French customs in Calais that your goods come from Ireland. The only way to do that is by transit. So there will be a huge boom on customs infrastructure, customs industry. You know, there's a big opportunity there for this industry, obviously.
Nowhere near the capacity.
No, these are well, you talked about HMRC. I'm really a bit concerned about that. You have this customs freight simplified procedure in the UK. Which is, they propose to delay the declaration, to simplify the declaration, you know. So HMRC is not very informed about what's coming in or going out of the country. So that is a bit disturbing, more or less. It's good to have complete information about goods coming into your territory and going out, because you need surveillance of your market, and you want to exchange this information with Ireland and the EU, so you can control the flow of goods and illegal flow of goods. So that is very, very important, I guess. And what is also important is that the UK is now changing its IT system from Chief to CDS. And that's a very vulnerable change. and the capacity of Chief is limited. The capacity of CDS has to be proven, and there's an expected raise of customs formalities of 500%. So, but let's hope we have a deal and we can have to reach that goal in 2 or 3 years, but that should be manageable, I guess. So everything's in place. Transit is there, IT systems are being developed, the industry can develop, logistics service providers are there that you represent. So it can be managed in a deal situation.
Can I just follow up on that point? You talked about risk assessment and the
Yeah.
role of the customs broker. How does intelligence acquisition compare, how is that affected when it comes to contraband, illicit goods, and criminal activity in the scheme that you're setting out?
Yeah, well, first of all declarations get a risk assessment. The export, the transit, and the import declarations all have a risk assessment. Who makes the declaration, what kind of goods, where they come from, is the value compatible to the weight, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all algorithms in the IT systems of the government that are being used. So that's the way to, in an intelligent way to tackle fraud, et cetera. But then, of course, these figures can also be used to monitor the markets. You know, if goods come in on a large scale in the UK, you know, they might be illegally imported into Ireland and then to the EU. That has to be registered and monitored, and this information has to be exchanged. So you need good customs systems to control these kind of flows of goods and fight fraud. I think that's the way forward to do that.
And just back to this quick point, you're absolutely right on the cost that hasn't, there is a cost because people like this aren't going to deliver that service.
Not for the price you meant.
But it will also, each one of these transactions, so for instance, a type of trucking activity which is very familiar between UK and Ireland is groupage. So that means that a truck can have a number of pallets, 26 pallet spaces that are actually individual shipments. So in that case, that cost impact is on each one of those, not on the truck itself. Each one of those constitutes a different commercial and export transaction. So when cost starts to impact that will alter the nature of trade. If it's low value stuff, the cost of having each one of those individually put through the customs system is going to alter trade.
Great. Okay. Any more questions? I think the gentleman over there.
Thank you. Stephen Kelly from Manufacturing Northern Ireland. Hans, I'm delighted you think there's a massive opportunity for the customs industry to do well out of this. I'm sad, though, that you completely ducked the question, which was legitimate, that the head of HMRC thinks there's going to be a £13 billion cost lumped onto businesses that trade. In a Northern Ireland context, that's in the region of 300 to 400 million quid, or 20% of the total profitability of the manufacturing sector in Northern Ireland on a recurring annual basis. So as you may do well, and your colleagues may do well, our guys are really going to suffer and hurt. So we need to find a way that doesn't just deal with some complexities, but we need to try to take those costs out. Otherwise, there won't be people trading across not just that border into Ireland, but across into the rest of the UK and into Europe as well.
Okay.
Well,
let me take a couple more together, because I think there was someone else who had their hand up. This lady at the back.
Anna Jerzewska, customs consultant.
Sorry, what was your name?
Anna Jerzewska, I'm a customs consultant. Just have a question for Hans. I generally have a problem with using transit as a way to avoid the border, but let's just say that works and we go with that. Have you given any thought to what kind of technology could be used to avoid the barcode scan at the border? Because I've been asking around people that are much smarter than me in terms of IT, but I've been just thinking whether it's the tech solution will be on the truck, attached to the container. What happens if the truck breaks down and you need a last-minute replacement? What kind of connectivity will be needed in terms of rural areas in Northern Ireland? Do you have a solution, or do you have a proposed solution, or something that you've been looking into in terms of how this could be done in practice?
Great, thank you. And one last question in this group, the gentleman here with his hand up.
Thanks. I'm Peter McSweeney. I sit on, among other things, on the CDS programme board. So I'd like to just say that Chief is man enough for the job. They've seriously upgraded it. But taking transit, it's hard to see how it works for an SME, because what effectively you're saying is they'll have to buy the service from somebody else as part of a groupage movement. And transit is quite expensive. The transit guarantee is part of a comprehensive customs guarantee, and that takes some getting. You have to have a temporary storage approved facilities, which again are managed by the Border Force. They have expensive infrastructure and security arrangements. You have the transit system itself in the UK is pretty flaky, and you don't get your guarantee released very quickly. So it's a huge financial impact, and I don't see really how that works with SMEs.
Okay, thank you. 3 issues there, really. So Stephen's asked just to probe a bit more about the cost estimated by.
Well, I doubt a bit the
HMRC.
cost that HMRC has brought forward. I mean, let's look at the Swiss market. I mean, they use transit 2.5 million times a year. There's a lot of small transactions there as well. You know, the Germans could drive up to the border, make an export declaration there, and then make an import declaration at the other side and go in there. You want to prevent logistic holdups. Logistics are always much, much more expensive than customs formalities. Customs formalities will be repetitive. You know, there's just a couple of data that has to be changed. It's all automated, so you can really make an innovation on that. I mean, HMRC and customs industry in the UK is not really the most innovative in the European Union, so there's a world to win there, and that will decrease costs. If you look at the barcode scan, if I may react to that, well, if you really look at what it's used for, you know, why is the barcode scan? You go from Northern Ireland to, let's say, the Irish border, and then you do a barcode scan, and then you move into Ireland. Now, the barcode scan tells you go to the other territory. And basically what it's used for, if the goods fall off the truck, if I may say so, you want to know if they fell off the truck in Northern Ireland or in Ireland. But if I don't check the goods at the border, if they're in the truck, I still don't know. So it's actually an obsolete obligation. Actually, if I would have a customs warehouse in Northern Ireland, and I would want to move goods to a customs warehouse in Ireland, I would use a transit declaration now as well, and I wouldn't use a barcode scan because I don't change the customs territory. So, and then I had many instances where transit was not finalized in the correct way. And 99% you can correct. You know that as a customs specialist. You know, there are other ways to approve things. So, but that's a service that you offer as a specialist, and you help your customers to organize it. You take away their care and their sorrow. They should be able to rely on you. So there's a big opportunity for customs brokerage and services like that. But I wish it would be as profitable as you mentioned. I wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, it's just hard work for people who are very dedicated. They want to be compliant, and they help HMRC to facilitate trade. It is that's what it is. And if you look at CDS and the guarantee, well, we all hope that CDS will come up and running in time, and that the capacity will be all right. It's very crucial, because if you don't have that, you know, you may have holdups, but as we've seen, if we have a transition period, that's going to be okay. And the guarantee is, well, you need guarantees, you're correct. But as I said, if you, in the Netherlands, I didn't have to bring up a guarantee because I was a trusted trader. You know, if I'm a broker, and I follow and I'm compliant, and I work together with HMRC, and you can create that culture in the UK as well, and in Ireland. You can say, okay, you take care that all these declarations are cleared. You know, why do I need a guarantee? You know, so there are ways to facilitate that.
Okay. Any final questions? Okay, well, I think that's bringing us to the close of this session. Thank you very much, Hans. Thank you, Neil. I think that was very, very rich. Some good challenge there as well, and some good, robust responses. But obviously a complex issue, and you've worked phenomenally hard, this commission, to come up with some solutions to move it forward. Thank you very much. Join me in thanking our experts.